Sadhana forest.
And do their work.
Pondicherry.
So in that bargain or talk, we came to know about Sadhana forest also.
Ah, right. Have you visited Oroville?
Yes, we used it.
Yeah.
But very little portion, bamboo, workshop, and maybe one more portion, and then we straight away came to this place because we really wanted to see it, and I thought that it closes at 5.
Well, it starts to get dark and it gets more difficult.
Yeah.
We have our dinner at 6. So if you're still here, you're very welcome to join us for dinner.
Thank you so much.
We are part of Oroville, and the land belongs to Oroville, and we are with the Oroville Charter, very dear to our hearts. Our founder is Aviram, and he came with his family. Well, they just had one child when they arrived in 2003. He was living in Oroville and wanted to find or create a place that he could raise his family in line with his personal values, and they've become the values of all Sadhana forests. So when he came, the land was like this.
The land was like
2003.
this?
Yeah.
Okay. And he has made these structures those days?
The constructions are done by the architect and company in Oroville,
Okay.
but they are made in a very traditional design, what would have been here, using.
This is today?
This was taken 2018, so
Wow.
after that period of time, and of course now the forest has grown even more.
No, true.
So primarily we are a reforestation project. It is replacing, restoring the indigenous forests that would have been in this area. And in fact much of this part of south and southern India and down into Sri Lanka was a very unique environment called tropical dry evergreen forest, and over the years it was almost completely cut down, destroyed. So I think there was only like 1 or 2% of the original forest left. And it is a unique ecosystem, so before it was lost forever,
Yeah.
Oroville and Abiram began to restore it on this site, which is 70 acres.
Okay.
We plant trees. We're all volunteers, and the operation is run by Aviram and his core team, who are also volunteers. We get funding from donations and sponsors, but everything, all the money raised goes into the project. There's no fat CEO sitting in a swanky office in a city.
Yeah.
So even though there are more trees planted by other organisations, they're not necessarily indigenous trees, and they're not planted with the success rate that we achieve by putting a lot of loving care.
Loving care. That's what I was asking you. What is the main ingredient behind it?
Yeah,
because there has to be
definitely.
some recipe,
Yeah.
Because generating this kind of a cover definitely needs a lot of hard work, and there has to be a specific recipe, which you said, love and care. So that is the main recipe.
Yeah, I'll tell you the precise mixture when we get to the toilets.
Okay,
So,
fine.
Our core values are very dear to our hearts,
Wow.
and the overarching theme is compassion. So that's compassion for the environment, compassion for all life, compassion for one another, and just non-judgment, no comparison. So it's very clear
Very nice.
what brings us all together. To really comprehend what happens here, you have to kind of detach a little bit from that world.
From the outside world.
Yeah. not that we are sort of we're definitely not a little bubble of foreigners doing our own thing and, you know, telling other people what they should do. Not at all. We are a kind of social experiment in some ways, just to illustrate that it doesn't have to be like that. So in contrast to a world where it's all, you know, everything is treated as a commodity, as stuff to be owned, we live very simply, and yeah, it's not at all about what can I take from you, from the environment.
What can I give, basically?
It's what can I give.
Yeah, that's more important.
So gift culture, sometimes called gift economy, is our means. We, you know, anybody that comes gets at meal times gets a meal. We run on every Friday. We run a free bus from Oroville to come and have a full 2-hour walking tour. We have our eco film club, and everybody, sometimes up to 200 people, we feed them all for free. Everything is for free.
That's a wonderful gesture.
Yeah, and I it's not new, it's not unique. It's how some organisations have worked for many years, and you know, some cultures it's their
and how many people generally stay here, or on an average?
Always changing. Before 2020, there were many thousands of volunteers, Indian and international, coming through each year. At the moment, I think we're about 38, maybe 40. During the corona thing, when international travel was impossible and internal travel was difficult, it was difficult for the people who were living here. But then as things opened up a little bit, lots of Indians came.
So mostly are international volunteers, or they are Indians?
It varies.
And
I wouldn't like to put a number to it, but as I understand it used to probably be more international. But then during COVID time, of course, it was only Indian.
Only Indians,
and it's probably now a bit of an even match, you know. There's been an active programme to recruit volunteers internationally again, which is how I came to be here. A couple of guys were in England going around a couple of vegan festivals, and I was looking for somewhere to be, and vegan volunteering abroad. And then I got a lot more information through Zoom, talking to Aviram, and
so where is Avram based as of now?
He still lives here, but because we have other projects, he travels a lot. He's recently got back from Kenya. The project there, because as soon as he was able to travel, he went to visit there, and it's quite exciting. We've got a new project launching tomorrow. We're just finishing off the finishing touches of a...
What is that project?
It's a mobile reforestation unit, which is going further south. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name.
So it's going further south for that?
And into a very depleted area.
So it's a unit kind of a thing, which is mobile, and will keep moving. It's a bus. Oh, that's wonderful. So there will be some people also accompanying that and keep moving to the places?
It's been converted as accommodation for 4 people, and the equipment needed to plant trees. So they'll be leaving tomorrow. So it's all been very exciting this week.
Very nice. I wish you really all the very best for your new project.
It's very, it's going to be really good. So getting back to our core values, you're no doubt aware we are 100% vegan community, and that applies wherever we are in the world. We actually go beyond that. We don't have any processed foods here, no white rice, white flour, sugar, and our diet comes as much as possible from the local area.
Okay.
We don't grow food,
Mm-hmm.
for simple reason that it would take many man
Effort
hours out
yeah.
of
Yeah.
so we buy our supplies as local as possible, seasonal produce, so and anything that's processed, you're talking about using resources, it's a mechanical process that probably takes place in a facility a long way away, so then you've got fossil fuel to transport it. So we do our very best to live sustainably.
So how do you make it sustainable? I just wanted to, I was, interested in knowing that.
Yeah,
It's all on the volunteer basis.
Funding funding is all on donors and sponsorship. When volunteers just come for a short stay, a few days, we have a four-night minimum. They are required to make a contribution to the food costs. So it just
It's managed.
it just enforces that it's not.
And there may be some people who are paid also on a monthly basis because they are there for a very long time.
Not really. I'm in a very fortunate position that I actually still get a pension from England, so I don't have any problem. But if somebody was in difficulty, then they can get a small stipend to support
Just to
their
support the
everyday
family or
needs.
something like that.
No, for their own everyday needs. If they've got a family, bring the family.
Bring the family,
yeah.
Okay.
And we are all inclusive. We have a family here now. Both their children were born here in the forest.
That's lovely. So you have a full setup of your medical team or something like
No,
that?
but we're so close to Oroville.
So you can get the facilities there.
Yeah.
And what about their education and all?
They don't go to school. Children don't go to school. That's another of our core values. If you're talking about compassion, if you take a child from its parents at a very young age, put it into a building with strangers and targets and I personally don't see that as very compassionate. And before there were schools, children learned anyway because they're naturally curious. So it's sometimes called an unschooling. We favour the term natural learning, and the children.
So do we do something for the natural learning here, or it is just a process? The children don't go to school here. They are here only, and they learn from the natural process, as she has brought out. And it's a very, nice way of unschooling, basically.
Unschooling.
Yeah.
The natural learning is my preferred term, and it's child led as well. So the individual child. They're all beautiful, unique. Different personalities, different gifts, different temperaments, different.
So
abilities.
how do you shine them? If you come to know that somebody is talented in some specific thing,
they shine naturally. But everybody is involved with the children. If the child comes to you and wants to interact with you, whatever you're doing, you will give them your full attention.
True.
And as they grow up, you may see the little ones. They're like one child of maybe 4 years old is already wanting to read and write, whereas another child may not be interested until maybe 7 or 8 years old.
Correct.
And
what about their exposure to the outer world? In the terms of outside?
When they start to explore different subjects and topics, we've got the internet here because now it's so
they can
easy.
explore like that.
Yeah,
and they can.
absolutely. And it doesn't hold them back at all. Avram's daughters, when she was older, and wanted to go to school. She went to high school in Oroville, you know, but it was her choice. It wasn't imposed on her. And she's now going to higher education with
Very nice.
she's got a passion for photography. And she's very, very good. And so yeah, the creative arts was her path. But if somebody showed interest in the animals and wanted to learn veterinary skills, you know, then they could pursue that.
Good. That's really nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah. Yes, so that kind of links in with compassion as well. There's a lovely expression that it takes a village to raise a child. And here we are like a little village, and we're all aunties and uncles. And
so there has to be somebody who is there for a very longer time to, you know, look after this thing or to take it step by step, because most of the volunteers keep moving or rotating. So is there a system in which...
Not a system as such. We have a project director who deals with all the administration things. And but yeah,
say if you want to go back for some of your task or work, so how you will go back, or you come back again or something like that?
Once a volunteer has been here, they can come back at any time for any length of time.
Okay.
You know,
and you can go also whenever you need for any your personal work or purpose.
If that's the case, yes. We wouldn't have somebody stay here that was working online, for example, because when you come to Sadhana, it is your Sadhana. You're no doubt familiar with the term. It is your Sadhana. So it doesn't fit with trying to manage your business here. Somebody that has work, and we have volunteers that just come in for odd days, but they wouldn't be staying here. You know, if you join the community, you give it your all. But volunteers that can come in, and they do, you know, for maybe our saver is mostly in the morning. The forest duties, the goshala duties are mostly in the morning. So we have people who live outside that come in to do the saver, maybe have lunch, maybe not, and then go and...
So what are you going to show us now? The goshala or something else?
Well, you'd have to come on a Friday to get the full tour. In that, because it's, you know, it's only a little introduction I'm able to offer you. But it's always good for people to understand how we work, because it is a very different model.
But it's really nice knowing this place and knowing about the culture. And your basically your core values. It's really good to hear them. And yes, we from our side as O2, we are also spreading the same thing from the Indian culture and the heritage. We are also trying to spread greenery. He is the Bkisan. He is the founder, member of Bkisan, kisanpathshala. And he is the director of O2 as well.
O2.
Yeah, O2 Park. O2 Park is you can say that it's a body. It's a private limited company, but it looks after it is the core, again, the core value, as you said, we are into the self-sustainable environment and economy. So S2E2 model. So it matches. So we thought we'll just have a look and understand your processes, what improvement we can make in our processes, what we are doing, because as of now what he is doing is the kisanpathshala, which is a free of cost platform for all the farmers to learn and teach and understand more and upgrade themselves. So this is what
definitely of value. So I mentioned this model is elsewhere, the Kenya project, the Haiti project. We've got units up in the north of India, northwest, I think, the Meghalaya. Meghalaya. And Meghalaya. Pardon my pronunciation. And each of these external projects have come about by invitation, and Aviram was asked to, because we've learnt a lot about water conservation, rainwater harvesting, to create this forest. So that knowledge is passed on, and working with the government of Meghalaya, he's now got 3. They want units in every territory, but he's got 3 units so far. And yes, they're planting trees, but they're teaching the rainwater harvesting methods, and it's really working because it's done for free. So you might get somebody come from a village, do a one-day workshop, and learn how to make swales and buns and so on. And then, you know, Aviram visits a year later, and they've done it, and all their village is now
they're following the RWH practices. Okay, great. Rainwater harvesting is one of the things which they are teaching and spreading around all over.
So it is making a difference, and in Kenya and Haiti, obviously it's a very different environment, and the Sadhana forest there is located in very depleted, very poverty-stricken area, but working by invitation with the local villagers, and they're planting fruit-producing trees and food-producing trees. So helping them to see that the land can sustain them a little. And how to care for the tree rather than cut it down and make charcoal to get a few rupees for not rupees, a few bucks for the tree. They can actually feed their families and improves the nutrition. And there's severe droughts in that area at the moment, and there are communities that rely on our big water truck going every day. With drinking water, and you know, in some cases the nearest water is too far for them to walk to. So really making a difference. But you know, I'm very clear on saying that it is by invitation. We're not going anywhere and saying, "Oh, you're doing it all wrong. You should be doing this. You should be doing that." Everything's done really sensitively, or I wouldn't be here. So you mentioned the Goshala. We do have some rescued cows and calves.
How many cows do you have at the Goshala?
I'm not sure. There's maybe 10 or so, but
they are all rescued.
Oh yes, all. Sometimes they're injured, but usually with the cows, it's because they've ceased giving milk, and so they are considered discarded by people. But also there are bulls. I'm not sure if there's 1 or 2 that have been rescued, and of course male calves are not desirable because they're not going to give milk, so they are saved from either a very miserable.
So how long has your Goshala been working? From how many years?
Not sure. It's a number of years because it was certainly here before 2020.
Otherwise, this forest is from 2003. You said, as Aviram has done. 2003. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years now, almost 20 years.
And we can have a little walk around. You can see a bit more.
No, the you know, all the efforts is evident. You know, in the last 20 years.
Yes. So there's a bit of a photo gallery. So we're not